Thank you very much, Malcolm, for those inspiring words. We now call upon the United States Consul General Judith Fergan to convey a message from the President of the United States.
Thank you. Jewish community leaders and representatives of all levels of government of Australia and Friends of Israel, I'm here tonight representing not just the government of the United States, but all the people of the United States. And on behalf of all of us, may I express our deepest sorrow at this awful tragedy and join you in praying for compassion and peace. I would like to read 2 letters tonight. The first is from President George W. Bush, which he sent to the funeral of Rabbi Gavriel and Mrs. Rivka Holtzberg in Israel today via Rabbi Levi Shem Tov, Washington Director of the American Friends of Lubavitch, the White House, Washington, D.C. Laura and I send our condolences to the Chabad Lubavitch family and all those honoring the lives lost in this tragedy. The compassionate individuals of the Chabad Lubavitch movement dedicate their lives to sharing God's teaching with people throughout the world, offering strength, hope, and guidance in the unique spirit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson of blessed memory. Through countless acts of love and kindness, the lost members of the Chabad Lubavitch community in Mumbai represented the best of the human spirit, and their memories will live in the hearts and souls of those they touched. It is impossible for us to make sense of the violence of the Mumbai terrorist attack, yet we offer our deepest sympathy to the Chabad Lubavitch community during this difficult time. We pray that you will be comforted by your fond memories of those lost, encouraged by their noble legacy, sustained by their faith, and lifted by the support of your loved ones. May God bless you and all those affected by these horrific attacks. George W. Bush. I also have the honor of reading a letter from the President-elect of the United States, Barack Obama, who starts, "Dear friends, Michelle and I want to express our profound sorrow and heartfelt condolences over the terrible tragedy that befell the Chabad Lubavitch community, and indeed the entire Jewish community, last week in Mumbai. We mourn the loss of Rabbi Gavriel and Ritzka Holtzberg and all their Chabad house guests in these attacks. They were taken from us by terrorists with no regard for human life, and we must remain steadfast in support of efforts to bring the perpetrators of these acts to justice. In running the Chabad house in Mumbai, Gavriel and Rivka provided a home away from home for so many Jewish travelers, carrying out in their corner of the world Chabad Lubavitch's mission of service to the Jewish community. They gave selflessly of themselves to others and touched many lives along the way. As you mourn and remember those we lost, you should know that so many Americans share your grief and pain. May their memories be a blessing. Sincerely, Barack Obama." Once again, may I say on behalf of all Americans that the victims remain in our hearts with warmth and our support for Israel remains steadfast. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. We have a couple here with us this evening who were in Mumbai and visited the Chabad house there, and they will be sharing with us some personal recollections. I call Barney Kitai and, and Jill Fish to the podium to share with us some of those experiences.
Rabbis and honorable guests. It's an honor to share with you my unique experience with Rabbi Gavi, his wife Rivka, Sandra, and all the wonderful community members who I met at Shabbos dinner at Chabad House in Mumbai exactly 1 year ago. I was on a business trip to India during that time was also looking to find the grave of my wife's great-grandmother who had lived and died in Mumbai in the early 1900s. Upon arrival, I made contact with the local synagogue, Knesset Eliyahu, in the street where my wife's family used to live. And so the journey began. The synagogue, which stands in its humble brilliance, was filled with hope and good spirit. its tiny congregation welcomed me with open arms. There I met Ben Sion, one of the oldest community members in his late 70s, who asked me to join him for Shabbos dinner at Chabad House with Rabbi Gabi. I was excited to find this tiny Jewish oasis within this massive country, 5,000 Jews within a national population of over 1 billion. Ben Sion and I arrived at Chabad House, just a short walk from the shul. Chabad House is on a side road off the main street in Kolaba, a nondescript multi-story building, but with the distinctive Beit Chabad sign outside. The moment I entered, I felt the distinct warmth of family life and was welcomed with open arms by Rabbi Gabi and Rebbetzin Rivka. At the Shabbos table, I sat with 30 others, sharing a Shabbos meal cooked by Moshe's savior, Sandra, who I clearly recall. Rabbi Gabi asked each of us to share a special song or story that related to our Jewish identity. With intense interest, he listened to each of us. I shared the story of my search and discovery that very morning of the grave of Jill's great-grandmother, Marion Finkelstein, which was last visited in the cemetery 105 years before. Rabbi Gabi was amazed at the story and seemed to identify with the journey, himself having moved away from his family to live his life in Mumbai, just as Jill's great-grandfather, Franz Finkelstein, had done in the late 1800s. That night I was grateful for the opportunity of sharing this immense moment in our family's history with Rabbi Gabi and the Rebbetzin. I felt a sense of community that I had the opportunity to share this amazing experience with people who really cared and who could identify with the effects of Jewish migration. Rabbi Gabi was clearly moved by the story. He blessed me, Jill, and her family. In the days that followed, he helped further to arrange for us to say prayers at the graveside. The last time we saw Rabbi Gabi was during Hanukkah, on a warm Indian night. We experienced the light and soul of his being during a public candlelighting ceremony, which he held at the gateway to India, directly outside the Taj Hotel.
Barney and I are now in regular contact with several members of the Jewish community in Mumbai, and we know how deeply the loss of Rabbi and Rebbetzin is being felt. For Moshe, for their parents and family, and also for the Jewish people of Mumbai. Ben Sion, who had taken Barney to the synagogue that night, who ate at Chabad House nearly every night, and who we've now found out left just moments before the commencement of this horrendous act. Solomon, the head of the community, who drew on Rabbi's deep religious knowledge. And Yael, whose children spent many an afternoon each week learning with Rabbi and Rebbetzin, and all the other members of the community who were so touched by their warmth and love. Barney and I mourn this special couple and all those lost in this tragic and senseless event. We count ourselves lucky that we were lucky to experience being Jewish in Mumbai with Rabbi and Rebbetzin and all the other members of the community before these senseless acts. May God bless India, Israel, Australia, and all the Jews around the world during these trying times.
Thank you. I just want to say that we're already planning our trip back to India next year, and we believe that you all should go too. Thank you.
Thank you, Barney and Jill, for sharing with us those memories. In our Chabad Center in Double Bay, as in many locations across Sydney, we teach JLI, which stands for Jewish Learning Institute. We teach their courses. Across the world in hundreds of cities, these courses are taught simultaneously by Chabad rabbis. Please turn your attention to the screen for a video presentation produced by JLI in memory of the Mumbai victims. The video will be followed by an address from Rabbi Pinchas Feldman, Dean and Spiritual Leader of the Yeshiva Center and the Head Rabbi of Chabad in New South Wales.
Terror has once